Welcome back. Brother Dan looking fly as ever.
Brother Dan coming straight to you from the brother lands. That's why I'm dressed like this. This is how they
From the,
dress.
from the motherland. Straight up. All right, man.
The brothers.
He said what?
The mothers gave birth to the brothers.
All right, man. So today we have a very exciting episode to bring you yet again. I know we're kind of midway through our series right now. We're almost done. I have another video coming out. I don't know when this is going to be put out, but we are here today to talk about just some artists that we listen to, but also some older artists that we feel like are a little underrated in the game. We're going to throw that in as well. So I don't know if you want to start, Dan. I want to start. I have a list here. You can go ahead if you want.
I'll start since we've
Go
got
back and forth.
Either
way.
We have lists and shit.
Your first pick?
Yeah, so my first pick, like if we were just shouting out artists, or I'm gonna do this if I was creating like a label right now. The first motherfucker who I would pick is Ace Hood. He's a dude. I think a lot of people know his name because he kind of had a run. He had the Hustle Hard and the Hustle Hard remix, like 2015-ish. So he was kind of known. He was running with Rick Ross and DJ Khaled and them. And then he kind of like fell off, as the people would say, but that just means that he wasn't on the radio really much anymore. He had a little bit of label issues, but now he's totally independent. And he put out a new album, which is dope, specifically this track called We Ball, which I was listening to. And I just think he has a dope, like very strong voice, but very soulful, like solid lyricist, all that. And then I also saw some good press from him, some cool shit on the internet. It was like his wife like got him plaques because now that he's independent, he doesn't get like plaques.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so she got him some plaques. I was like, oh, that's some good.
That's
good woman right there.
That's some real, like, I was like, damn, that made me feel some type of way. I was like, damn, she really supports him.
That's the best fucking gift, you know what I mean? But he's just a cool motherfucker, He fucking has dreads all the way down to like his legs and shit, like super long dreads. He's been in the game for a minute. He's independent. He's also on his workout and fitness grind, which I find like that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's becoming a bigger thing. So yeah, Ace Hood. Yeah,
man, Ace Hood. He has this. I'm looking up this album. Oh yeah, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. That was what I still bumped that out. That, and that's 2000. I think 2010, 2011, and he was on that trap sound, and he was on that fast flow sound before a lot of these dudes. That was the hood sound, and like Ace Hood had his run. Like exactly like you're saying. Like he had his trap run.
Yeah, I feel like people, like, just because of his name and shit, like, you wouldn't expect him to be as good of, like, a lyricist rapper as he is, but he's pretty motherfucking proficient on the mic, bro.
All right, so the next person I'm going to talk about, who I think is underrated, is DMX. Now, DMX, he's, man, like, one of my favorite songs is Slippin'. And that's, like, there's no other song that's like has a video, has like a story that I really feel like sticks with me like that song. Like I feel like that was really his story, and like he put it together so well. DMX also just puts together some bangers. Like he has this one video online. I don't know where it is, but he's like it's like him performing. And there's like a crowd of like I guess like 100,000 people or 50,000 people. He's like performing one of his songs like overseas or something. I'm like, you've never seen a rapper do like that big of a crowd. He was just such a big star when he was really on top of the game with Jay-Z, that whole Jay-Z situation, and I think he deserves to be put down as one of the greatest in hip hop because of his authenticity and the type of dude he was. He was a small dude, but he really repped for the small dude,
Yo, but he had the biggest voice, and that's the thing. His voice isn't even a performance or act. Like when you hear his fucking interviews, he's still like, it's just the dog, Dark Man X, and like he has such a crazy story from Yonkers, New York, like just real.
Yeah.
It's too real for fucking TV. I think so many people our age and younger than us don't really appreciate the run that he had because like since then, obviously, like fucking drugs and in and out of prison and all that. That's kind of been his story for like the fucking 2000s. But the late 90s, he had like a 5 year run in which he released 6 number 1 albums straight. The first rapper to do that. He had 2 number 1 albums in the same year. The first rapper to do that. And it was like post Biggie and Tupac and before Jay-Z really, really took off. Like X was that dude. He put on the Rough Riders. They had
He was
this
in movies
image. He was in a movie with fucking
with
Ali
Jet Li.
Lee, like Cradle to the Grave. That was a damn
Yeah, that was a good movie.
riding the BMX like motorbike from fucking ceiling to ceiling, and that was just real. Like the dogs, the bikes, and just that whole imagery that he had, like the whole Rough Riders thing with the motorcycles. That's how we got introduced to the locks. That's how we got introduced to EVE. Like he put on real rappers too. So man, X has been like one of my favorites forever. He's super underrated.
X baby.
X baby. You can't even like rap some X if you're not in a place where you're ready to scream and just be loud. You can't even do it justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's dope.
Since you went old school, I'm a good keep it old school. And since you went with someone from Yonkers, I'm gonna take it to fucking Harlem with the one and only Immortal Technique. Ooh, yes, another independent dude. But this is one of the dudes who, like, in a way, taught me how to rap and taught me like what lyrical content was about. I got hip to him at a very like crucial point. You know, I had been rapping for a couple years, but like I think I was maybe 15, 16 when I really like got into his music, and then it just like took off from there. But the Revolutionary Volume 2 specifically, but also Volume 1 and Third World, but really Revolutionary Volume 2 is a goddamn classic album. That
Yeah.
shit is perfect. Like when you talk about that guy who's fucking a little bit paranoid, maybe a little too smart for his own good, the political activist, the revolutionary, that guy, that was Immortal Technique, and he was real. And even more than that, he was a battle rapper first. And there's not many battle rappers who have gone on to make actually good music. Like they make great lyrical music, but not good music. And he's one of them. And he's super underrated. I think a lot of people, even people who are really into lyrical hip hop, don't really even know about him sometimes. And it's crazy, but it's just because how independent he was. He was literally selling like shit himself. No like distribution deal, none of that. And he's smart too, and you hear that in his music. He understands not just politics, but he understands the industry. So Immortal Technique.
Yeah, man, he got me into rapping. He was one of the dudes who got me into rapping. When we first started rapping, I remember we were rapping a lot like him. Like it would be these really long stanzas of just like information. But I feel like he was so underrated in his lyrical ability, because like even the stuff that you hear nowadays, when you hear the stuff that he spit in like 2003, like those bars and like the way he was able to paint certain pictures, it's like timeless. Like it's like he's
Mm-hmm.
already better than a lot of the people who currently can rap nowadays. Like like he's still like ahead of his time, ironically. Like he still hasn't really gotten his like, okay, that's the Immortal Technique, that's a legend in the game. Like I feel like people kind of write him off a little bit,
Yeah.
but you can't write that off. Like that's a piece of underground hip hop and like history that like needs to be known and like appreciated.
Mm-hmm. For real.
Okay, so we're keeping it old school. I'm gonna say Ludacris next.
Mm.
um I feel like people think that like he fell off or something. I feel like Ludacris never fell off. He just stopped making music. He just stopped like, really trying to like be that new rapper, you know what I'm saying? He already proved himself. Like whenever I think of my childhood, I think of Ludacris's flow, like the way he was able to rap like that. I think that inspired a lot of these younger heads like the Migos and
Mm-hmm.
Twista. Like he just had such a unorthodox way of like rapping. And and I bet you if you put out a track like one of these newer cats, like I feel like he would do well. Like I feel like he's respected, but I still feel like he's kind of, people write him off a little bit too. You know, they're just kind of like, oh, that's Ludacris. But like when he's gone, people are gonna be like, oh, like he was a big part of hip hop. Like he had his little run.
I don't know if he's done a verses, but he's one of those dudes who should do a verses. Like I saw him
Mm.
perform once, and this was in like 2012, and I
You
was
saw
like,
him perform?
yeah, and I wasn't even hyped. That's the fucked up part. I wasn't even hyped, and then I roll up to the performance, and like 2 hours later, I'm like, bro, this dude has done nothing but hits for 2 hours. His catalog is so deep. He has so many
Yeah.
hits that like I feel like maybe the song became bigger than he did. You know,
Yeah.
everyone
Bigger
knows
than the genre. I feel
obviously.
like
Yeah,
it was, people don't consider it rap for some reason, but it is rap. It's just like a different way of rapping. It's like, it's weird.
his voice was also super cool. Like as soon as you say Ludacris, like the voice pops in my head. I can like hear it
Luda.
almost. Yeah.
Okay, Fast and the Furious. Can we say like how big that is? Like
Yo, yeah, we Fast and the Furious had me wanting to trick out a Honda Civic for like 8 years before I gave up on it. You know what I mean? Like
the Toyota, what was the Toyota like Seneca or something?
yeah,
What was that game? Need for Speed
Need
Underground?
for Speed Underground. Oh yeah,
Yo, my whips.
bro, bro. I had that Nissan.
That thing was slow though.
No, I had the souped up Nissan. It had like lights underneath and shit.
I gotta get back into those games. Like
I low key have that game, bro.
I feel
Like,
like it's funner to just create the cars and actually like play the game sometimes.
you don't want to play that PlayStation 2. That's my
That's a
whole
classic.
childhood right
That's a
there.
classic. That's
Let's
a
see how
classic
much I
game.
paid for this. It says used. It doesn't have the price.
That was a good $50 when it came out.
Well, mine was used, so definitely didn't pay 50 for it. Yeah, Luda.
But Luda, man, like, yeah, I think just like a really important person in the culture,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of gets swept aside.
All right, I'm gonna do some new shit. This dude, he's not really, well, he's not a rapper, man. This is like some new age R&B, but I really think there's a lot of dope shit coming out of the new age R&B. I was two artists specifically who I was thinking about, but I ended up going with Brent Fayaz or Fayaz or something. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's Faiyaz, but he's just been coming on strong. He has a dope tape called Lost from 2018, which has this track Target on My Chest, which I fucking love. That's like one of those I could play like 3 times back to back. And then
You
he's
feel like
got,
you have a target on your chest, Dan?
bro, I got a target on my back, on my chest, on my head, on my nuts, bro. They don't want a motherfucking black man to do
It's
shit.
on my nuts.
Yes, they try to castrate the whole fucking ethnic population.
Oh God.
Talk about it. Anyways, yeah, nah, that's a great ass song. His style is just like it's kind of weekend inspired in its content. It's very like dark, kind of trancy, smoky, sexual, kind of hedonistic, like all of that. Yeah, a lot of that. But he's just got a sick voice and he's just that's just the vibe, bro. It's so his tracks.
He's a new artist?
Relatively, he's coming up.
Mm.
He doesn't really have like a radio hit yet, but he doesn't really have like a radio style. His shit is really murky. It's kind of slow. It's like it feels almost like you're on like depressant drugs. You know what I mean? Like a Xanny or some shit, or like some lean when you're listening to his shit. But it's sexy as fuck too. It's cool.
All right, so I'm gonna just say I'm gonna keep it. This is my last older head. And I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm gonna say my next one is Cameron. I feel like
Killer Cam.
he Killer Cam, man. I feel like he's a big older hip hop head that deserves respect.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, he just has some good tracks. If you ever heard that album called Purple Haze, that's a really good one. You should check it out. Um, he just had those radio hits too. I feel like he was probably the biggest one out of Dipset. Um, other than maybe Joel Santana.
All of them pretty like.
They're all
Am I
kind of on the
tripping?
same
Jim
level.
Jones? Am I just tripping?
Jim Jones
Jim
isn't, yeah.
Jones, Jewels, and Cam.
They're all kind of,
Yeah,
but I feel like,
Jimmy's still in the game. Jimmy has
yeah, but
popped up every once in a while with some vampire like shit.
I just mean in terms of a rapper. Like I feel like Jim Jones talks more like baller stuff, obviously like his track,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then Cameron, he talks more of just being poor. Like I think it's really interesting the way he just like highlights like his come up kind of. He doesn't really glorify it. He's like, "Oh, I was really poor," and then he's like, I made myself rich off whatever stuff he was doing." I still feel like he painted the story really well, kind of like a King Von was doing, kind of like a real dude from the streets,
Sonny
just
J.
like painting his come up a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'll say Cameron.
Cam, dude. Cam's a rapper's
Go
rap.
with Cam.
I
Yeah.
feel like so some of the people don't always give him his credit, but I feel like whenever I hear rappers talking, Cam is like a name in their mouth. You know, he's just so well respected. You got to pay attention to the people who are respected by the people who you respect.
His voice is dope too. He has like such a deep voice.
He's a
It
good
sounds
lyricist.
like it's,
Like you're
yeah.
right. Definitely like I think the best pure lyricist out of Dipset.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna say current and a veteran at this point is Big Sean. Um,
Ooh, that's a
Big
good one.
Sean oscillates between being underrated and overrated a lot. I feel like he like not every album that he does is the dopest. And when he doesn't do the dopest, sometimes he kind of drifts out and people forget about him. But you can't forget that of the generation that we're currently still in, because even though the Lils are here to stay, I still recognize, the Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick generation as like that's the current one. Um, they still have that torch. And of that generation, people forget that Big Sean was kind of the fourth man, you know,
Mm.
Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, maybe not in that order. But then after that, I mean, Big Sean, Nicki, yeah, it's not many people who are in that AA list class from, each generation of rap. And of his class of rappers, like people forget that he belongs up there. And it's sometimes his fault, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's Kanye's fault. I'm gonna just fucking come clean about that. I feel like sometimes Kanye doesn't give him the fucking like attention he deserves, and then other times he was putting him on so hard, like on Cold Winter. I mean, Cruel Summer, whatever, Cruel Winter, Cruel Summer, whatever the fucking album they did. Like Big Sean was all over that, and then Dark Sky Paradise was dope, and then I kind of like, But this latest album, Detroit 2, Sean's back to spitting. Sean is back to being introspective. Sean is back to just being Sean and not trying to worry about like being what other people want him to be. And I really love him in this pocket. Also, Sean is back in love and back in a relationship with Janae. And I think that can
Mm.
really serve to make your life way better and your music better. So it's no wonder why Sean is coming up right now again.
I'll say Sean is really interesting to me because he came on the scene really just like doing the flaunting kind of rap, like just kind of like flexing. And then he just has been progressing to such a like real style of rap, like real hip hop, where he's like talking about, his life and his emotions, his experiences. Um, and I think he really is turned into a rapper's rapper. Like I feel like rappers like Big Sean, you know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't really try to do those radio hits as much. Like he's just kind of doing his own thing now, and he's still putting out music. He's been around since 2010, I believe,
Yeah.
and he's just been progressing, like just been getting better and better at his craft, um, and hasn't really had any hiccups. Like he's besides the fact that maybe his ex, unfortunately, like I don't know if you heard, she passed away. She drowned actually, and they were I think they were set to be engaged. So that probably had some effect on him too during this time.
Like she drowned recently, but that's like
Yeah,
That was his. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was about to say like that was his ex from a minute ago, but yeah, it definitely still probably had an effect on him. Even
Yeah. But like I'm saying, like he doesn't really have any bad publicity. He's really just like, kept a good career.
yeah,
And I think people respect him. I think they do forget about him. Like you're saying, like I even kind of forgot about him. I was like, oh yeah, Big Sean. Like I love him. Like
Shaw Dodd, Detroit.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. All right,
and
next I'm gonna talk about. He's not really out. Some people wouldn't consider him underrated, but I feel like in terms of rap, he's underrated, and that's Kanye West.
oh,
Um,
interesting.
I think that like I was hearing, man, the way I was hearing an interview with him, and he was basically saying he's like, yeah, man, like I had my mother worked in like education basically, so like he figured out that like the way you appeal to people is you try to kind of dumb things down a little bit. Like you don't want to present information to people like in a really complex way because that like turns them off and they might not want to hear more. So like he's basically saying like with his music he took that approach, like a lot, like he was taking these big concepts and these like kind of historical references and trying to make them simple and funny so that it kind of related to like the common person, and like somebody who's white could maybe be like, oh, that's funny, and like not really get it right away. I'm kind of,
Mhm.
when I'm hearing old Kanye, I'm hearing that, like I'm hearing somebody who acts like they're very like just like dumb and like just very sexual, but like I think he um has a very deep meaning to a lot of his lines. Like there's a deeper historical point he's trying to make as a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's it's interesting, kind of like what X was doing. I feel like kind of dumbing things down, making it seem like he's just ignorant, but like behind all of that, it was a very enlightened person, positive person who loved the culture and loved music. And I think Kanye West loves music, and that's why he's been in the game for so long and been successful and been somebody who started, the Chicago scene. Without him, there would be no Chief Keef, no, G Herbo. Like he really, I don't know, like I feel like he changed hip hop and
Mhm.
what a hip hop artist is. Like he's bigger sometimes than hip hop itself.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's like a big thing. I mean, I think like people, respect like his musical quality and everything. Sometimes he comes hard with the lyrics. Like Dark Twisted Fantasy is probably my favorite album, and he really, I think he spat well on that one. But yeah, you're right. I remember seeing this interview where he was just like talking about being in school, and he was in a rap battle, and he came with some super like cool like lyrical shit. And then this other kid just came with like a one-liner, but then everyone laughed at the kid's joke, so that kid ended up winning. And he was just like, yeah, and that kind of like influenced his style. And it's like for sure you hear that in his music, at least especially the first three, where it's like, yeah, he's tackling big concepts, and it's like Jesus walks and like Gold Digger and all these other things that are like real. Um, but he has like kind of a silly way to do that. It definitely changed the game in the sense of what we thought a rapper was. He was kind of the first dude to be super popular and be like the pink polos and all that shit, and not have to be so like macho and stuck in that in that whole pocket right there. And in that sense, not even did he just put on like the Chicago people. Also on the list of Chicago people is Lupe though. um,
Mm.
but not only did he put on the Chicago people, but he also put on like a lot of people who aren't just a gangster rapper, namely Drake, and gave him a lane to be much more sensitive and to be like a singer. And then also like we were talking like about his lyrical, but just to shout out the musical production side, which I don't even think he's not underrated in that sense, but even just to shout it out, fucking he's just so futuristic with the fact that the sound he had on 808s, and I'll give Cuddy credit for that too, but the sound that they created in that time is like what everyone is on now. If you listen to 808s and Heartbreak, or you listen to Man on the Moon 1, and then you put any little or any of the sad boys up next. It's like that's just timeless music. And clearly, he set the pace that the rest of hip hop didn't even catch up to for 10 years, literally. So yeah, yay. I'm gonna start speeding it up for the people
Yeah.
who they didn't make the top five. So all right, another dope singer who's coming up, St. John. I know you heard of him, but he's pretty cool. He's got a cool voice. Um, if you saw that boxing event with Tyson and Roy Jones, it was like half boxing event, half concert because they just had like 6 different singers. And he actually had one of the songs on there. It's called "Sucks to Be You," and it's just like a funny, not even funny. It was pretty fucking dope. It was funny that this boxing event was like mostly a concert in the end, but the song was slapped and he had a really good performance. So checking out his music, he's got a couple like I don't know if they're albums or if they're just projects and EPs, but Collection One from 2018 has some sick artwork with like this pink cross, almost like a neon cross in there. Um, and then he just has a new album now in 2020 called Ghetto Lenny's Love Songs. It's 2019. He stays in the goddamn studio, man. He's got an album out yearly. His 2020 album is While the World Was Burning. So he's got 3 albums in 3 years. All of them are like full length albums. These aren't like EPs. I was wrong. I'm talking like almost an hour worth of music each time. And he's really on that come up. I think him and Brent are really the two new guys in like the R&B space. And then I'm gonna just run through and do my last person too. Um, Benny the Butcher from Griselda, and in fact, the whole Griselda family, which would also include Conway the Machine and West Side Gun. They are both a group and independent label, which is in a distribution deal with Shady Records. And they're from fucking Buffalo, New York. And I didn't know anybody was from Buffalo, New York, except that fucking football team, which sucked my whole life. And now suddenly I'm better than my Patriots. But it's okay.
Except the wings.
We got next year. Oh yeah, Buffalo Wings. Fuck the fucking Buffalo Bills, man. Just let it be known and let it be said. Just fuck them.
What?
All right, bro. You had one good year. Cool yourself. Cool yourselves out.
Buffalo,
All right.
Bill, Buffalo,
Billy,
Bill.
good old Billy Belichick is still cutting checks out in New England, and so we'll be right back in it. Trust and believe. But
Just gotta get rid of Cam Newton.
man, Cam didn't get a fair chance, man.
Cam has gotten all the chances in the world his whole career.
He was MVP. He suffered a terrible injury, and now half of his team was out with COVID. He went down with COVID. All this shit, injuries,
Excuses.
no wide receivers, nothing. He didn't get a fair shot. Yeah, another season.
He knew what he signed up for, Dan.
Yeah,
and you know what he signed up for.
The Patriots, dude.
Exactly.
Take the unfair shot and do the best.
Should have gave it to somebody else.
They need to keep Cam, bro. They're fucking up. They need to get some wide receivers.
They need to get somebody who can run to the touchdown.
They just need to win games.
That's literally the press conference of anything. They're like, we just need to score better. It's like, why do we need this?
That's about you'll ever hear out of Billy Belichick, man.
He still has the mask. He wears the mask in the interviews, and it's so funny to me. All right, so my second to last is Joyner Lucas. Joyner, yeah. I actually had like the Mandela. I don't know if it's called the Mandela effect or like deja vu, but like his album ADHD, like in my head, I'm like, I swear that album has been out for a minute, cause like that album is so good. And then like I looked when it was released, and it was released like in late March of this year.
Yeah, I feel like he's been
And
promoting that for like 2 years.
yeah, but like you have, but like released it, like put it out on the streaming platforms, like it's crazy, and it's such a good album. Like the like Devil's Work, Isis with Logic, that's a great one. Revenge. For some reason, that track, like when I'm in, getting pumped up in the morning to like, achieve my dreams, I put on Revenge. I'm just like, you know what? Like,
Revenge.
yeah, it's just like a pump up song. And the way he's spitting it, I'm still trying to get it like perfected. But yeah, Joyner Lucas, like his lyrically and flow wise, really, really dope. Out of Worcester, Mass.
What's that?
Um, I think Latino. I'm not sure.
He's black.
Um, yeah, he might. Yeah, he might be mixed. Um, but again, like has done songs with Eminem already. Has done songs with Logic, and he has stood toe to toe with them. So I
Yeah.
feel like lyrically he's up there, and he's gonna be big. He's just starting. That was his first album he dropped, and I feel like we've been hearing about him for a while, and his name has continued to buzz. It's just a matter of time for him to become that bumblebee that creates the.
He'll make all that honey. He's gonna be the bumblebee that buzzes. He's gonna pollinate up in this bitch. Bumble. Don't be buzzing. Be busy like a bee.
Last one. I don't know if you consider him a rapper, but to me, he's a rapper. He'll always be a rapper. He's always a dope rapper. Lil Tracy. Tracy Minaj. I feel like people sleep on Lil Tracy. They think he's just Lil Peep's side dude.
Yeah.
But Lil Tracy was already an artist before Lil Peep even started rapping. So like we gotta realize that a lot of Peep style came from Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like Peep and you'd like to think about what his style might have become, you should hear Tracy's new stuff. I think Tracy's a little bit more materialistic than Peep in that way though. But in terms of that like acoustic sounding type beat, kind of like with Gunna, like spitting on Little Baby, those beats that are really popular now. He meshes really well with those. And he just puts out good music, just something you can bump. Designer Talk 2, I think, just came out. That's his latest one. They got some bangers on there. And I like his voice. Like he just has a really good voice. And he's lasted for these few years without really having anybody else to co-sign him, and he's really independent. Like he doesn't really have a deal or anything. He's doing it all off his name.
Yeah.
So
Shit.
all his videos and everything he's paying for. So I just think he really likes the craft, and I think that he's somebody who has a place in hip hop.
Also, Joyner has really good videos. He directs a lot of them too.
He does.
Word.
He's straight edge too. He's just very interesting.
Oh, that's
Um,
nah, I'm kidding. It's cool, man.
but yeah, man. So that was pretty dope.
Sorry, cheese.